Those boys beat us fair and square. Beat us like we'd never seen a tennis racket before, much less pick one up. What about after? Brandon asked. From the look on...
Hello everybody. It is March 16th and I'm actually only just starting to be able to read some of the things from my TBR. If you happened to see, I uploaded a video where I did a book exchange with Olive over at a Book Olive, and so the beginning of the month was spent both on vacation and also reading those books. So I would urge you to go check that out. It was so much fun and I had a great time reading some really great picks that she had for me. So the first book that I am reading for middle grade March / March Mystery Madness / just March is the Parker Inheritance, which is a middle grade mystery by Varian Johnson. And this is a sweet middle grade about a young girl who moves into a new town while some things are getting resolved in her hometown, with her parents who are getting a divorce and with her home that needs to be sold and things like that. And so they move into her grandmother's house, and while she's there going through things, she finds this letter that leads her to this mystery, with potentially at the end of it a large sum of money that they can find, and so she becomes involved in that. In part it's to try and clear her grandmother's name, and yeah, it's really sweet. We have a sweet relationship, friendship between two main characters, her and a little boy that she meets and becomes friends with. So they have a really great relationship. She does have a nice relationship with her mom and with her dad, and it sort of talks a little bit about how she feels with her parents and the situation that they're going through and how they deal with it and how they handle both being parents to her as well as divorcing each other. And so I think it's a fun and interesting and fast-paced read that I am enjoying. I'm glad that I picked it up, and yeah, let's see how it ends up. I just was delivered the audiobook holds For Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz and Payment in Blood by Elizabeth George. I am much more interested, or I'm much more in the mood right now for Elizabeth George, just because I have been basically thinking about reading her since the last time I picked up one of her books last year. But the borrow period for that one through the New York Public Library is 21 days, and the borrow period for Magpie Murders through my other library system is only 7 days, and so I'm gonna just do that one first so that I can finish it and return it within the time that it is due, and then I can have a little bit more time to dedicate to Elizabeth George. I'm so excited to finally get to it, so I'll let you know what I think of them.
So you have to take this, put it behind it, shine a light, and then like draw it with pencil. You can still see a lot of my pencil marks now. They use chalk and other things. And the same is true with this one, where
So funny thing about Magpie Murders is that they referred to the war a couple times at the beginning. I'm only like 70 pages in. They referred to the war a couple times, but nothing about it like felt like it was immediately after the war. I guess there were a few things like calling a clinic like a surgery instead of a clinic, but I don't know, maybe, I don't know if it was just me maybe not paying as much attention or what, but like it didn't read like it was set in 1955. And I haven't read the description, so it could very well say it there, but I don't read the synopses. I don't read the synopsis of a book before I read it. So or I do at some point, but not immediately before reading it. And typically, between the time that I decide I want to read a book and the time I actually read it, so much time has passed that I've forgotten the details. But yeah, they were like, "This is 1955, blah blah blah," and I was like, "Is it really? Oh, okay." Hola, hola. So I just finished Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz, and I have a question. Are there any women out there whose favorite character in Jane Eyre is Mr. Rochester? Because the female main character that he writes says that, and I sort of had to side-eye that a little bit, and so if you are, I'm sorry for judging you. Anyway, overall I really enjoyed this. I thought this was great. I thought the sort of story within a story was really, really cool. I liked how like it was self-aware. I really enjoyed it. I do want to continue on with his books. I was a little afraid of this one. I don't really know why. I thought it was gonna be like, I guess, more weirdly meta, but it wasn't. It was like just the right touch. I think the two mysteries within it are entertaining, and I was invested. I was a little bit more invested in the sort of novel within the novel, which is typically the opposite for me. For me, I typically tend to like the sort of actual, like, first story that we're told, not anything in the past, not anything that we're like reading that someone wrote. Any of those sort of things I tend to like less, but in this case I liked it more. I really liked I really liked the detective in the look at this guy, look at what he did with my trash cat. Anyway, I really enjoyed it. I will continue to read Anthony Horowitz novels. I'm very excited to continue to do that. And now I can start Elizabeth George. So I'm going to start Payment in Blood. Also, this cover much better than the American ones, I will say. So I will read this one, and then like immediately right after that I have Broken Harbor by Tana French, which has become available and I need to read. So let me put this over here. And also Sadie by Courtney Summers, which I need to read. And I think there was another one that recently became, let me see, available. So I have like boom boom boom, a lot of stuff to read. Oh, it's just these three, but the one that comes after this, which would be number 3, I believe is available for me to immediately borrow. So I'm so excited to finally get back to Elizabeth George. It's been a good month.
Said I had earned her the highest possible marks, so the time was right for advancement. Thought nearly right as it was ever going to be if she only played this entire affair right. Thomas Dillon was what made everything so difficult.
Hello everybody. So it is March 25th, and March has seemed pretty long, to be honest. I was afraid that I really wasn't going to be able to read all that much. My eye itches so bad, I have no idea why. But I finished Magpie Murders by Anthony Horowitz. Did I say what I felt about it? I think I might have. I enjoyed it. Yes, I did. I talked about it already. So I just finished Payment in Blood by Elizabeth George. This is number 2 in the Lindley series, and it was really, really good. I mean, I love her mysteries. I love her writing. I love her characters. So, I mean, with the exception of the fact that some of the ones that I've read have not particularly aged well with regards to the way in which we talk about body and fatness. For the most part, I I haven't really found any issue besides that, or maybe it just hasn't struck me. But yeah, I mean, I love her mysteries. I love how she presents them. I love the pacing. I love the writing. It just feels so like good and real and entertaining. And yeah, Detective Lindley is such a great character. In this one, we get to see a lot more of him and his personality, and he's kind of struck down a lot, which was interesting because, you know, he's the main character, so you kind of expect to see him in a certain light and to sort of be in the know, and in this one he really wasn't, and I thought that was really, really interesting for us to see, you know, to see that he's not always right, that he's gonna make really bad mistakes, that he's gonna let his emotions get the better of him, and the dynamic between him and his partner Havers really, really plays well off of that. And yeah, I loved how much we got to know both of them more in this one. I thought this was great, and I can't wait to continue on. I have put the third one on hold at the library. It should be available in approximately 2 weeks, so that will be that. So I'll hopefully be able to get that soon, and I'll probably read it sometime in April unless it becomes available sooner. I started listening to the audiobook of Sadie by Courtney Summers. This is my mystery YA for the month. Honestly, not paying super like lots of attention to the audiobook. I'm reading it for Reader's Advisory. It's not really one that I really, really wanted to read. Like in my recent reads, you will have heard me talk about When We Make It by Elizabeth Santiago, that I really, really wanted to read it, and I really, really loved it. This one is just, I'm reading it for Reader's Advisory as part of my like year-long project. Not anything against the book itself or the genre at all, or the age range at all. It's just, that's just part of my job. I'm just trying to be a better librarian. So if it were up to me, I would be reading only adult mysteries right now. So yeah, just being like super straight up with you guys. I'm just kind of listening to it in the background. I might get into it a little bit more. I do like the podcast component, and it seems to have a full cast, so that's really good. I will probably like listen more carefully to the rest of it. I just kind of started it on a whim after I finished Payment in Blood, but I think my mind is still in adult mystery. So Broken Harbor by Tana French is out from the library. The audiobook is, so I will be reading it alongside the physical copy I have found. I love, if it's not a cozy murder mystery, like if it's a sort of true, like if it's a crime, like a detective mystery or something like that, I really like to read it physically and listen to the audiobook at the same time. It just immerses me more, and I feel like I'm like picking up the clues more, even though I'm like so shitty at guessing who done it. I'm so bad, but I still love this. So yeah, I will be reading this. Probably I'll start reading it sometime this weekend. And then, yeah, I might have time to read both that and something else. We'll see. Yeah. So funny, like fades into the couch. Hello guys, so it is March 31st, so the month is basically done. It's like 8 o'clock at night. I finished today Broken Harbor by Tana French, and I thought this was interesting. It like brought up a lot of really interesting sort of ethical questions, I think. The main character is not really, it's like not really super likable, but he's not supposed to be. He's very much like a rule follower. He has very specific rules in his head and sort of like right and wrong, and he's very much like black and white, and so it adds an interesting component to the story, especially when you start to find out more about the crime and who committed it and stuff like that. I was sure I knew what happened, and then less sure, but then everything made sense. So yeah, I overall enjoyed it. It's probably the least that I've enjoyed of the 4 that I've read. I would say it was the 3rd, the 1st, the 2nd, and then this one is how I'm like rating them in my head. But overall, still very strong. She is such a great writer. She really just like gets in the minds of people, and then the minds, the like sort of like core of the crime. And there's always like this like question in the middle of it, right? And yeah, I really enjoy it. I really like Tana French. I'm excited to be going through her catalog and to continue it. The audiobook for Well Schooled in Murder by Elizabeth George came in. This is the 3rd in the Lindley series. Obviously it is the end of March, so like March Mystery Madness is ending today, but I am going to continue that, and it'll be part of my April TBR, which you'll see whenever I decide to upload my April TBR. I've been very lazy about filming and uploading. I have been trying to get back on my like working out stuff, and because when I get home I have to work out and do work from home, it kind of just like doesn't really leave me time to film. And I like to film when I look nice, and I don't really look nice after I've gone to the gym or after I've worked out done a workout at home. So I will have to find time, maybe just do like a few, maybe I'll do a few at once, you know, just film a few at once. That's another thing too, like I've just been feeling a little bit not super motivated to film. Like I'm not really thinking of like creative things that I want to film or talk about, but hopefully that will all come back at some point. I will still be vlogging because I still do love to vlog, and yeah, hopefully I do want to upload a picture book recent reads. I've been reading a lot of picture books and I want to talk about those, and then I do want to do a full March wrap up, and I have to do my April TBR. April is Autism Acceptance Month, so that's really exciting. I have 3 books that I want to read for sort of in celebration of that. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching and for listening. Oh, by the way, I think I'm just gonna return Sadie by Courtney Summers. It's just I'm not really like in the mood for it. Nothing really against the book itself, I'm just not in the mood for it. I think the premise is cool, and I'm glad that I sort of put it in my TBR because it made me think more about it and actually start to read it and look into it, so that though I didn't read it, I know more about it enough to still like be a little bit better with regards to reader's advisory with it. So not as good obviously as having read it, but some of the sort of goal is still achieved. So I'm sure that I might finish it at some point, but I do have another YA and a middle grade for April, so I will talk about those in my TBR, which will hopefully be up soonish. As always, thank you for watching and for listening. I hope you all have a lovely March. Mine was very, very long, but very, very fun at in some parts. So yeah, love you guys, and I will see you around.